Right now, we need to go to the management of Equitas Small Finance Bank. We have Mr. N Vasudevan, who's the MD and CEO of Equitas Small Finance Bank, joining us on the show. Good morning, Mr. Vasudevan. Thank you so much for joining us on ET Now. And firstly, is there any specific timeline that you're looking at with regards to this new succession plan that is being undertaken at Equitas Small Finance Bank? How quickly will you be hunting for a new successor?
From a succession process, we have just initiated it yesterday. I informed the board yesterday, and the board has decided to form a search committee. So the search committee will be formed, shortly, and the search committee will then start the process of identifying and looking out for potential candidates. There is no timeline. We have not put a timeline around it. Neither me nor the board. We have not put a timeline around it because we don't want to put any kind of pressure on ourselves in the entire process. So the purpose for which I want to leave. You know that I have put that out in my letter. There's so much that we believe we can do to the society, and we really, as a family, we want to focus on that and do a lot of things which can help a lot of people out there who are not as privileged as you and me, right? But I can do it day after tomorrow instead of tomorrow, so there's no issue with that. So we are not putting a timeline around the whole process. We don't want to make a mistake. We are very clear that we can take a few more months if required, but not make a mistake of getting a wrong person in place. And so there is no timeline as such. And whatever time it takes, we will go through it and get the right candidate into the bank at that point in time.
Will that right candidate, Mr. Vasudevan, be an external candidate, or are you looking internally for a replacement or for a successor? And apart from the position at the helm, are there any other specific gaps in the bank's management that you're looking to plug?
So, we have a very strong management team, and so there is no gap as such in terms of any particular skill set in the bank at this point in time. So that way, we have no particular skill set which we desperately need, which we will try to fill in through this process. Such a thing does not exist. So I think we are pretty very comfortable in terms of the overall management capability and bandwidth that we have currently. And as you may know, in the last board meeting, the board had decided to elevate two of my colleagues as whole-time directors, and of course that is subject to approval from both shareholders and RBI. Subject to that, the board has decided to elevate two of my colleagues, and both of them again come with very very strong experience in both the banking and lending space. And so we believe that we have a very capable team in place, and there's no particular gap that we need to fill up. So it's basically the successor that we need to identify and put in place.
Right, Mr. Vasudevan. So your tenure will be ending soon at Equitas Small Finance Bank, and you will stay on as the MD and CEO till the transition is actually complete. So could you quantify exactly how long will that take? Also, RBI notified earlier no concerns from RBI with regards to this particular change of guard?
So my tenure, my current tenure ends on 23rd of July 2022. That is this year, July 23rd. So a few months back, the board had approved my extension for a 3 more year period, and we had applied to RBI for a regulatory approval for a 3-year extension, which is currently under process. But yesterday in the board meeting, when we had discussed about this particular transition aspect, the board then, in view of this transition process in place, the board has decided to go back to RBI and ask for a 1-year extension for my tenure from 23rd July. So basis that decision, we should be shortly applying to RBI for a 1-year extension in place of the 3-year extension that we had applied some time back. So that is the first part of it. The second question that you asked me was whether the regulators have been informed about this whole succession transition process. Of course, yes, we have been in touch with the regulators, and we have duly kept them informed of the entire process.
What about after you vacate the post of MD and Chief Executive Officer? Will you remain as part of the board going forward?
So on that particular aspect, yesterday the board had also discussed and said that they will be happy to, have me continuing in some capacity or the other to be associated with the bank, subject, of course, to the then regulatory guidelines which may be prevailing at that point in time. So I, from my side, of course, I'll be very, very happy, very keen to have any kind of association with Equitas. After all, Equitas is it's a bit like my own baby. So if there's any chance and any opportunity to remain associated with Equitas, I'll be more than happy to remain connected to Equitas. But it's again subject to whatever be the regulatory framework that may prevail at that point in time.
Mr. Vasudevan, definitely this news has not gone down with the investors. If you look at what's happened to the stock price today, how should stakeholders actually look at this particular move that's come about? No doubt most of us have been surprised by this. Also, how should stakeholders look at your stake in the entity?
So from a different stakeholder perspective, I see Equitas is a Latin word. Equitas means equitable, which means being fair and transparent. So right from 2007, when we started Equitas as a microfinance company till today, Equitas has been always run on very high governance standards, absolutely fair and totally transparent to everybody that we deal with, all our stakeholders, be it our customers, be it our employees, be it our investors, be it our regulators, be it the media, be it anybody. We always try to run our operations in the most fair and most transparent manner possible for all our stakeholders. So I think that my personal view. I cannot say what my stakeholders will be thinking, but from our perspective, from my personal perspective, I'm really believing that all our stakeholders will have a very high level of comfort with the way we have run the bank so far. I don't think we have ever had even a single person raise their finger or point their finger at us on any kind of a governance issue. And it'll never arise. It'll never arise because that governance value system is something which runs deep in the bank. Not just me. It's not just me who is holding the flag in the bank on this kind of aspect. It's something running right down to the last 18,000th person in the bank. And so I think my belief, my feeling is that our stakeholders and our investors and every other stakeholder.
No, that's a fair point. But you have to admit, Mr. Vasudevan, that this leadership change issue creates a bit of a regulatory overhang. The question I think a few people are asking is whether this impacts the bank's aspirations for a universal banking license and a merger in the future. And the other question, of course, is will you continue to serve on the board till that transition to a universal bank takes place?
So, technically we have completed 5 years. So technically we are qualified to apply. But, we have this regulatory compliance requirement to be still met, which is the merger of the holdco with the bank. So that's still pending. And, that's under work. And we have got the NOC from RBI recently, which was published. And we are now awaiting SEBI approval shortly. There's 2 stock exchanges. We understand they have already cleared it and sent it to SEBI. So we are hoping to get the SEBI approval soon, and then the NCLT and shareholder approval following that. So that process is on. And for applying for the universal bank license, this regulatory compliance is something that we need to complete. And we need to just complete and get that behind us. So we are working hard to try and get it done as quickly as we can. And we'll continue to be in touch with the regulators. And as soon as we get a comfort from them that, yes, we can apply, we should definitely apply. And whether I will continue to remain on the board till the universal bank license comes, again, it's a little far into the future. So at this point, it's difficult to start speculating or talking about that. Let's just hope that we can fast forward and get all these approvals in time, as quickly as we can.
Hope so for the same, Mr. Vasudevan. But have you actually kind of taken note of any timeline for this particular merger?
So we believe that all the process do take some time normally. So we believe that by March 23 we should have completed the merger. But let's see. We will try and push it even faster if we can.
Right, Mr. Vasudevan, thank you so much for joining us on the show, talking about your plans going ahead, as well as what's in store for Equitas Small Finance Bank. And that was Mr. P.N. Vasudevan, who is currently the MD and CEO of Equitas Small Finance Bank. Remember that they had informed the exchanges yesterday that Mr. P.N. Vasudevan will be resigning to pursue a set of personal goals, and also the board will form a search committee to find the successor.